Looks like the Predator's back, not just in theaters.
If there is a Harris-Walz administration that you would want to play a part in it, whether officially or unofficially?
Well, certainly unofficially, I want to be as helpful as I can and would do anything I was asked to be helpful.
Anything, as of course she's back, and anyone standing in her way is of course in major trouble, as it looks like allegedly there was a third attempt on the life of Donald Trump, as the Iranians now have hacked Donald Trump's campaign and are trying to give data to the Kamala campaign. What's going on here? That's exactly what we're going to be discussing here on this independent media broadcast, as Hillary described how this is, quote,
we have so much to do that it really should be all hands on deck, and anybody who can help in any capacity should be willing to do so.
Those hands probably placed firmly on the grip of a whistleblower, as she is slowly taking life out of them, allegedly, in a video game, as of course we got to follow YouTube's principles and guidelines here, as the news just seems to be getting crazier and crazier by the day, as we keep getting new footage from a rally that just happened a couple days ago, where a lot of people are reporting some very serious ailments and illnesses from directly participating in the Donald Trump rally. This has getting the truth of what's going on here is virtually almost impossible now, with a skewed corporate media coverage of Donald Trump that absolutely is not doing him any favors, as Fox News is reporting that there's over 95% negative coverage of Donald Trump on all the major news channels like ABC, CBS, and NBC News. As NRC, a media research center group, reviewed campaign coverage from these three major networks between September 15th and 17th, the days right after a second attempt on Donald Trump's life by a lunatic that camped out on the golf course after he made a surprising decision to be there himself. A last-minute decision that no one knew about. Did this lunatic get absolutely lucky? Did he have foreknowledge? Did he have assistance? We're still waiting to find out those particular answers. Answers that, of course, the corporate media, even if they do get, probably won't be running with, as they have an overwhelming, huge bias against Donald Trump here. And even after a lunatic tried to take his life, the media still spun these events somehow to blame, obfuscate, or put responsibility on Donald Trump, talking about some of his rhetoric, some of his policies that they sharply disagreed with. As of course, the news should have been, hey, someone just tried to take out Donald Trump again. That's the common sense approach here, whether you like him or you don't. That's the newsworthy thing to talk about, as it's fair to say that there has been a lot of obfuscation this particular political season. There have been a lot of very underhanded, unfair plays being made against Donald Trump, as of course we on this independent media organization criticize him when he deserves to be criticized and promote him when we think he deserves to be promoted. We compliment him when we think he does something well that aligns with our values, core principles, and ideology, and when it doesn't, we call it out as respectfully as we can. As of course, that's what a media organization is supposed to do, not overwhelmingly just stick to one particular side and not deviate from it without daring to ever question it. As it's important to note here, when we're watching the corporate media, we're not watching unbiased reporters. We're watching stenographers of the establishment ruling elite that are controlled by the intelligence agencies that are reading a script to you about what they want you to think and believe. Essentially, it's a form of mind control in more ways than one. As of course, this is not news. This is not media. It's propaganda. It is a testament to a larger information war that is being waged right now in the court of public opinion that is being shaped up in some very unfair ways, as the FBI just revealed that it is allegedly Iranian hackers that just got into Donald Trump's campaign material and then handed that over specifically to the Biden-Harris campaign. Now, can you believe the words of the FBI here? As of course, a lot of the hacks could be false flag hacks. A lot of the hacks could be made to look like it's one particular country. You're responsible for them. As of course, online digital footprints are usually very difficult to track, trace, and database, specifically when it comes to larger governments that are involved here with the advanced tech and abilities that they have given themselves over the reins of what we are dealing with online. As the Associated Press today is reporting that the FBI uncovered evidence that alleged Iranian hackers stole materials from Donald Trump's campaign and provided them to the Biden-Harris administration, clearly highlighting an unfair situation to Donald Trump here, as of course all of their dirty secrets, all of their notes, all of their kind of questioning of their candidates and all the things that they didn't want the other side to see now has been made public. Essentially, the battle plans for the Trump campaign have been revealed to someone that they are in direct competition with. As Donald Trump took to Truth Social and declared that, wow, just out, the FBI caught Iran spying on my campaign and giving all of the information to the Kamala Harris campaign. Therefore, she and her campaign were illegally spying on me. To be known as the Iran case. Will Kamala resign in disgrace from politics? ? Will the communist left pick a new candidate to replace her? ? As a lot of the corporate media, surprisingly, is not really picking up this story. And if the story is true, according to what the FBI says, it is a major kind of unfair advantage that the Kamala Harris campaign now has over Donald Trump's. Now, what was going on? What led up to this? Did the Kamala Harris campaign actually go to the FBI after receiving this information, or did they use it for their own personal benefit? Well, we're still waiting to find out those personal details about this current situation, but it wouldn't surprise me if during this very heated political campaign where, again, Clinton's literally talking about all hands on deck here in a severe situation that's very important to her, that they would probably get some of the information, use it to their own benefit, and then conveniently, potentially, maybe hand it over to the FBI. As of course, the FBI uncovered this unsolicited evidence as part of their efforts to, quote, investigate election interference, as they note that the emails were taken from non-public materials from Donald Trump's campaign, as it is still not known what exactly the Biden-Harris campaign did with it. This as the Harris campaign has released a statement saying that they were not aware of any materials sent directly to the campaign, as Donald Trump now is calling this direct foreign election interference and declaring that Biden is working with the Iranians. Now, it is important to note here that Joe Biden and the Kamala Harris administration did release $16 billion of previously frozen assets and money of the Iranians. And when it comes to Iran policies, let's just be honest here, the Democrats are more favorable towards Iran, less favorable towards countries like Russia. As the inverse is true with Republicans that usually, typically, and even under the Trump administration are more heavy-handed against Iran and less heavy-handed against Russia. That's just usually how the political kind of ideologies have evolved here with the geopolitical foreign policy that usually is instituted by both of these parties. And it's fair to say, with Donald Trump's very heavy-handed approach towards Iran during his administration, taking out one of their major generals, that there definitely isn't a love affair between the Iranians and Donald Trump, that there even was an establishment push trying to blame the larger attempts on his life on. As, of course, a lot of people called that propaganda out immediately, as, of course, it's pretty convenient for the intelligentsia, the deep state, and the neocons who've been trying to start a war with Iran for the past 20-plus years, that this news all kind of conveniently all fit together, as Donald Trump even raised potential questions about his first assassin potentially being connected to Iran as well. Now, let's just be honest here. Iran is no fan favorite of the Donald Trump administration, and therefore, face value, this story by the FBI does kind of make sense. Now, it hasn't been independently verified, and I think we should be able to question everything, especially when it comes to online security and hacking tech that, of course, could be very easily manipulated. As I think it's fair to say now, there should be another investigation specifically looking into if the Kamala Harris campaign did get an advantage here, as, of course, the federal authorities probably won't be looking into any of that. This as the left wing has been making some very serious arguments about foreign interference, and it looks like their side potentially benefited from it the most. As Elon Musk took to Twitter and said an interesting group of supporters, specifically retweeting someone, pointing out that Iran, Putin, and Dick Cheney are on, quote, your side, you're not the good guys, highlighting the larger kind of proxy support group for the Kamala Harris campaign, as a lot of neoconservatives, a lot of old-style kind of Republicans that have absolutely wrecked the American Constitution and our current financial standing are standing on the side of Kamala Harris. I think it's also fair to say that Iran would prefer an American future with Kamala Harris, geopolitically speaking. Now, Putin has made a statement saying that he hopes Kamala Harris wins, as of course a lot of people point out to the fact that he was probably being facetious in those particular statements. Now, Putin did actually say that. What did he really mean? As of course, a lot of people are attributing that he was sending a larger kind of cryptic message out there. As some people believe he would get a lot more through the Trump administration than, of course, the Kamala Harris administration, geopolitically and internationally. This as Donald Trump, during one of his major rallies, described that, quote, "I'm not a threat to democracy, they are," as he is claiming that the Democrats will turn America into a dictatorship. As it definitely does look like a lot of very powerful people, countries, dictators, neocons, corporate media, establishment figures are all trying to stop Donald Trump, along with a bunch of lunatics that already have tried to take his life. As now we are getting the news reports that there potentially was a third attempt on the life of Donald Trump. This after 20 attendees of his recent rally in Tucson, Arizona, inside of a closed venue, are reporting that they became very ill with mysterious symptoms such as blurry vision, swelling, and falling seriously ill after they were seated on the side of the stage where Donald Trump made his entrance, approaching specifically the podium. One attendee says that the doctors informed her that she suffered, quote, "a chemical burn," as the Trump campaign announced that they're looking into this matter, as some people are saying that there's a possibility of a chemical attack that was unleashed and unsuccessful against Donald Trump. Here's a media report from that incident that I think is absolutely worth watching.
Former President Donald Trump that were allowed to sit behind his stage at his Tucson rally last week tell the News 4 Tucson investigators they left with mysterious injuries to their eyes. News 4 Tucson's chief investigative reporter Course Nylander is live outside the Tucson Music Hall downtown. Course, what are we learning about their situation?
Yeah, well, Monica, this is where thousands of people came out to hear former President Donald Trump speak last week. There was a group of 48 people allowed to sit on stage behind Trump throughout the event. They were split into two groups on each side of the stage. One side seemed to walk away without any issues, but multiple people seated near each other on the other side tell me that they had to go to the emergency room after they left the event. Here tonight, for the first time, the Trump campaign is confirming that they're investigating this situation.
No taxes on Social Security benefits for our seniors.
More than 2,000 people filled up the Tucson Music Hall Thursday to hear Donald Trump's first speech in Tucson this campaign as Election Day nears. Some of his biggest supporters were allowed to sit behind him on stage. Supporters like Myra Rodriguez, a former director of Planned Parenthood with a notable shift to being pro-life. In 2016, she sat behind presidential candidate Hillary Clinton on stage at an event. Now she supports Donald Trump. She enjoyed the rally, but once she left, everything changed.
As soon as we left and I stepped outside, I started feeling like my eyes were burning.
At first, she thought it might be allergies. She lives near Phoenix. By the time she got home, it was so bad she decided to go to the emergency room.
The emergency room staff keeps saying, from the triage nurse to the PA, and are you sure you're not going to spray anything? Your symptoms look like you were sprayed something.
The News 4 Tucson investigators spoke to her the morning after the rally, Friday last week. That morning, she was nearly blind.
I can't see anything. When I try to open my eyes, it's like a white cloud covered. It hurts. It hurts a lot to open my eyes. I have this cold cloth that I put on and I take off all the time. But this is horrible.
She says the doctors weren't able to determine what exactly caused it. Her initial thought of allergies went out the window when she heard from several others seated next to her at the rally that also ended up seeking medical attention with the same symptoms.
It kept getting worse and worse. My eyes started watering a lot. My nose started running. Then I started feeling my face get really flushed, and then my neck felt like it was on fire. And it just progressed from there.
This Tucson woman, who doesn't want to be identified, was seated in the same area behind Trump with her brother. Both walked away with eye injuries and sought medical attention.
I was all focused on my eyes. I mean, my eyes were red like hell, you know. I mean, it's like, it's just like unbearable. You just couldn't, I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it.
Whatever caused it seems to be isolated to the group seated on stage right. Former Congressional District 6 candidate Kathleen Wynne was seated on the opposite side of the stage and says she and everyone she knows seated near her walked away without any issues.
We hope that there's no nefarious actors in this and that this is not a strategic hit for those that are supporting Donald Trump.
Myra reported her injuries to the Trump campaign and says she was told it was being investigated. Myra feels it's crucial for people to be made aware of what happened and what could have caused her injuries.
Obviously, what I would like is an investigation, right? That whoever, that this does not get away with it.
I want to be very clear. We do not know at this point if a person caused any of this or what exactly the cause could be. We can only speculate at this point, but that apparently is what the Trump campaign is trying to get to the bottom to at this point. Less than an hour ago, the Trump campaign senior advisor Danielle Alvarez sent us a statement reading, quote, "The Trump campaign has been collecting information. We remain committed to the countless patriots that attend our high-energy, high-impact rallies across the country." I did also speak with the United States Secret Service. They tell me they were not informed of any of this and only learned about it when I called them, but they said there was no known threat to President Trump during his event here in Tucson last week. We'll update you as we get more information on this situation.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust the Secret Service statements here. Personally, myself, after the long list of failures that they have been able to achieve that are absolutely spectacular in all the wrong possible ways. As of course, this being just a small local news story really does highlight the kind of larger media bias that I was just speaking about. As of course, this should be national news. And let's be honest here, if this happened at a Kamala Harris rally, this would be. If there was 2 attempts on the life of Kamala Harris, the corporate media would be running with breaking news, full-on stories about this non-stop 24/7, detesting the radicalization of the right and the dangers of the right, linking their ideologies towards these lunatics. As of course, the right-wing kind of media sphere is doing that on a micro level, but it's fair to say that the corporate media would absolutely be obsessing about this right now, that they absolutely would be talking about it nonstop right now. And the fact that this is just a local news story, the fact that independent media has to talk about this, the fact that this is not a bigger kind of conversation here, as there's a lot of possibilities to what could have been happening here. There's also the potential that this could have been a coincidence, but I think it's fair to say we need all eyes and ears on this current situation in order to find out what exactly is going on here, since it's fair to say that there's probably going to be more attempts on Donald Trump's personal life and safety. And it's horrible to say that. It's absolutely awful to say that. But this is the kind of political atmosphere that we are in right now that is absolutely tumultuous, absolutely reckless. And as we've been telling you, this is going to be one hell of a crazy political cycle that is absolutely just beginning, in my opinion, to get crazy. I think it's going to get crazier in between now and the nearly 6 weeks between today and November 5th. As I think we need to get to the bottom of this mystery illness that is now affecting 20 attendees. I think we need to find out exactly what's going on here, since this is a very key, important story to talk about and get out there to the general public. As of course, the political escalations in this country are making a lot of people, including myself, feel absolutely incredibly uncomfortable, as politics has no room for violence, but it is becoming more violent by the day. And we as a society should be doing everything in our power trying to de-escalate the tensions, de-escalate the situations. But sadly, the corporate media, that in my opinion has radicalized a lot of individuals with hyperbolic, sensationalistic nonsense and emotional dribble, those absolutely incredulous, absolutely partisan individuals are just pouring more fuel onto the fire. I think their response to the attempt of Donald Trump's attempted taking of his life is absolutely horrible, distasteful, as of course they automatically went back towards saying he's the problem, instead of saying, hey, We have a problem here with radicalization. Hey, we have a problem here with people not communicating with each other. We have a problem here with people being pinned up against each other and put further and further on the political spectrum. We have a serious, legitimate problem here that's leading to a major clash that we should be trying to avoid spinning this pendulum back and forth very violently. We should stop doing that immediately. And that's a message that you heard here on independent media. And that's the exact opposite message that you heard on the corporate media, which is radicalizing and endangering our civil society from being civil. As of course, there's a lot of crazy people out there, as an Alaskan man was just arrested for threatening to torture and take out the lives of 6 Supreme Court justices and their family members, as of course they are also a major target, as well as individuals like Elon Musk that also probably are being targeted for not playing ball with the establishment that is, I think, purposefully trying to rile people up, purposely trying to create a wild situation, purposely trying to weaponize information in a form that attacks people that don't go along with everything that they want them to say and do. This is a tragic situation. This is a horrible situation. And this is a situation that could only be de-radicalized with your direct involvement and participation. As just like the situation in the Middle East, this is only the beginning of what looks like very troubling times. As now, there have been major fights escalating inside of the Middle East. There's major fights escalating inside of Europe as the Democrats and corporate media establishment that aligns behind them usually like to force people to get their way. As I kind of agree with Hillary Clinton, all hands are on deck here to make sure that we won't be put in a more awful situation than we are already involved in. As I just made a very special video about how to prepare for some of the very crazy times ahead of us, specifically detailing larger problems geopolitically and internationally, how I'm personally preparing for them. I made that special report just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com, a video that I think is absolutely worth watching, a video that I think a lot of Americans need to hear in order to, of course, prepare themselves for the very tumultuous times ahead of us. As, of course, I release special videos for paying members on LukeUnfiltered.com. You could sign up for $8, $15, $99, whatever your budget affords you, especially during these Bidenomics, very difficult economic times. We appreciate all of your support. Again, $8 a month really does mean a lot to us, and we do give a lot back to you, as you also get the ability to be a part of our live shows. You get the ability to call in to our shows, as your support is more crucial than ever, and we greatly appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. A lot of people are signing up. It does mean a lot to us, and we're going to be doing everything in our power to give back to you as much as we can, as we're going to be doing a major event here in Miami that we're giving out free tickets to right now, just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. We're going to be doing meetups all throughout the United States. And we're going to be really, I think, doubling the amount of content we're doing for this specific election cycle, as I think it's going to be more important than ever to try to decipher a lot of the propaganda and misinformation. And if you agree with that, subscribe to this channel, share this video with your friends and family members, and more importantly, sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys actively doing this. Thank you again so much for doing that. Stay tuned for more here on YouTube.com/WeAreChange.